Well, welcome back. We are on page 10, and this is the fourth video that goes along with our session 5 notes. And I'm changing the next problem just a little bit. Before, it said page 689, number 32. We're going to look at page 683 instead. We're going to do progress number 5. So let's open up our books. Let's start off. Let's find out what the problem's about. It says, here, let me put the book up here in case you don't have your book. Okay. Aaron Jefferson has a 5-year car loan based on an annual percentage rate of 8.4%. The monthly payment is $592.57. After 3 years, Aaron decides to purchase a new car and must pay off his loan. Find the payoff amount. Okay, well, let's talk about this problem. The loan was for 5 years, and he paid on it for 3 years. So that would leave 2 remaining years to pay off the loan. Okay, now, if we have 2 years and each year has 12 months, that means we have 24 payments to go. And that's our N value. Now, to find your I value, you have to take your rate and divide it by 12. Now, don't forget you need to move that decimal 2 places to the left. So 8.4% is 0.084. Now, let's put that in our calculator. So 0.084 divided by 12, and that equals 0.007. Okay. Now we're going to use the payoff loan formula, which is already on this page of your notes. It's on the top. We already used it in the previous problem, but it's also found on page 683 in the green box. So we're going to follow that. It says you take your payment. Now this gentleman, his payment is $592.57. Okay, and then we multiply that by, and I'm going to use a bracket. I know your book has parentheses, but if we've got 2 parentheses, I like to use brackets to show the outside ones. Then we've got a fraction here, and it's 1 minus 1 plus I. Now our I is 0.007, and we have to raise that to the negative n. Watch that negative. And then we divide that by our I value. Now here's what I'd like you to do. This is a lot to put into your calculator. I would like you to just take some baby steps, please. So clear your calculator. We're going to put just the numerator in our calculator. So from left to right on your calculator, I want you to put in 1 minus parentheses 1 plus 0.007, close your parentheses, then hit your exponent key, and then make sure you do the negative 24. So let's do that together. Okay, now I got 0.154, 15126. Now I'm going to keep that on my calculator. Now let's hit our divide sign because we're dividing by 0.007. Okay, and I'll just write this down. There we go. Now don't clear your calculator. Now we have to multiply this by our 592. And here we go. If we're going to pay off this loan, it would be a $13,049.34 amount. Okay, Here we go. Okay, let's look at the next page. Okay, we are going to be talking about stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. And I want you to know that please feel free to add anything to your notes, maybe on another piece of paper. But there's a lot of stuff that you probably aren't familiar with, so please add to your notes. Now I'm going to turn my book to section 10.4. And we need to know what all these words mean. Now, a share of stocks, that's how stocks are measured. How stocks are measured. Okay. If you own a share of something, you're a partial owner, by the way, of that company. Okay, the next word that you're going to need to know is stockholders or shareholders. They are the owners of a company. Dividends. A dividend is found by taking the cost of one share and multiplying it by the number of shares that you own. That's a dividend. Okay, the dividend yield is used to compare companies' dividends. This you can find in the newspaper, and we're going to go over that in a few minutes. Now, the dividend yield is found by taking the dividend and dividing it by the stock price. And that's labeled with a percent. Or you can use interest equals principal times rate times time. That will also help you find the dividend yield. And we're going to discuss this in a few minutes. The market value is what a seller sells a stock for. Okay? A brokerage firm. A brokerage firm is the agent who helps you buy or sell stocks. Okay? The agent who helps you buy or sell stocks. Brokers are the people, okay? Brokers are people who charge you a commission, of course. They're people who charge you a commission for their service. The stock exchange. You've all heard about the New York Stock Exchange. It's a place which brings together buyers and sellers of stocks. Okay, now there's more vocabulary words in 10.4. These are just a few that I thought were super duper important. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to calculate a dividend, okay? So we're going to be looking at this formula right here. Okay, let's take a peek at this problem. A stock pays an annual dividend of 75 cents per share. Calculate the dividends paid to a shareholder who has 300 shares of the company stock. Well, you take the cost of the share and you multiply it by how many shares you have. You've got 300. And so that is $225, okay, the shareholder would get. One thing I'd like you to make sure that you do is when you do problems with money, always have 2 decimal places, okay? All right, let's look at the next one. Find the dividend yield for a stock that pays an annual dividend of $2.50 per share and has a current price of $62, and this is like 58 cents, but in the paper, like the New York Stock Exchange, when they put all their stocks and bond stuff, sometimes they will have 3 decimals, okay? But we are going to round our answer to 2 decimal places. Okay. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to use these two, okay, these 2 formulas for this problem. All right, so let's see here. It says the dividend yield over the stock price. All right, so we're going to take $2.50, okay? We're going to divide that by our stock price, okay? And that equals a percentage. Now, that's our percent rate there, okay? So let's put 250 divided by $62.578. Okay, now I have this on my calculator. All right, now to change a decimal to a percent, we move this over 2 spots. So now I have 3.9950. Okay, now I want 2 decimal places. All right, well, let's look at these 2 decimal places. So we have to look at the 3rd decimal. If the 3rd decimal is a 5 or above, we have to round this up. Well, the 5 rounds the 9 up to a 10, which makes this round up. So we actually have about 4%. Now, if you want to write down 4.00, that's fine also, okay? All right, actually, I'll follow the directions here. It says 4.00, so I'll just change that. Okay, the other way we can do this problem is we could use interest equals principal times rate times time. Now, in these problems, the dividend, that's your interest that you get from the company, okay? So our dividend here is our interest. It's $2.50. Okay, the current price, P for price, that goes right here. That's our current price. So we've got $62.578. Now we're looking for our rate, okay, and our time. Okay, now, geez, is there any buzzword here to denote what time we're going to use? Oh, here's one. What does annual mean? We've had a lot of problems with that word in it. Annual, that is a buzzword that means T equals 1. So I'm going to put a 1 here. And now if I divide both sides by 62.578, I have exactly what I have over here now, don't I? Okay, so we've got 4.00%. There we go. So you can use either formula, it doesn't matter, okay? All right, let's turn the page here. We're going to do some problems now from the book. The first problem I'd like you to do is found on page 700, and it's number 10. So let's go to the book. And we are going to do a problem that deals with the Wall Street Journal. Okay. Now I hope you've read your text, because if you haven't read your text, this problem might be difficult, okay? All right, so let's look at problem number 10. It's got 5 parts to it. First of all, it says, what is the difference between the highest and lowest prices paid for this stock during the last 52 weeks? And the stock that they're talking about is the GM stock. So, get your book out because you're going to have to look at this section of the Wall Street Journal. And I want you to find the General Motors stock, and I'll show you where it is in your book. I circled it, it's right here. Okay? So we're going to focus on this line of information. All right? Okay, so to answer this question, what you do is you have to take the highest amount and you're going to subtract the low amount. So find the column that says high on it. It just says HI actually. Okay, now go all the way down until you hit the GM row, and the high is 55.55. And now look at the column that is labeled, it says low, LO, and the low is 3611. And you want to subtract these and you get 1944. So the difference between the highest amount and the lowest amount was this. Okay? All right. The next part of this question, it says, suppose you own 750 shares of this stock. What dividend did you receive this year? Well, what you're going to do first, you're going to look at column 5. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, column 5. Okay, go all the way down to the GM row. And the dividend, it says 2.00. There we go. And we're going to multiply that by our shares. So 750 times 2 is 1,500. There we go. All right, by the way, if you want to label these, the high would be column 2, and this is column 3. Okay, there we go. All right, next part of our question. It says, how many shares of this stock were sold yesterday? Okay, to find that answer, you need to look at column 8. Column 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it says volume in 100s. Does everybody see that? Okay, so what you do is you take your volume of 100s, you take that amount from your chart, and you multiply that by 100. So let's go all the way down to the GM row, and we've got 57,115, and we're going to multiply that by 100. So we get 57115 and 2 more zeros. There we go. Now, this label, we have just found shares. 5,711,500 shares. Okay, next question. Did the price of a share of this stock increase or decrease during the day shown in the table? Okay, so now what you need to do is you look at column 10, which says net change. So let's go to the General Motors row again, and it says that there was a minus 0.23 or 23 cents. That would be. Okay, so is a minus sign an increase or a decrease? Well, that's a decrease. So it went down 23 cents. Okay, last but not least, what was the price of a share of this stock at the start of the trading day yesterday? Okay, what you need to do for this one, you have to find the closed column, okay? And look at the GM row, and do you see how it closed at $43.07? But we know there was a decrease in the day. So what we have to do, we're actually going to add 23 cents to find out what it was. So we actually had $43.30. Okay? And then it went down 23 cents, which gave us the $43.07. Okay? All right. And there we go. We are done with problem number 10. All right, that was so much fun. Let's do another one. Same page. Let's look at problem number 12. It says, at the closing price per share of the General Corporation, how many shares of the stock can you purchase for $2,500? Okay, so first of all, find that company on this chart. So let's see here. Where the heck is it? GenCorp. Oh, I found it. Right here. GenCorp. Okay, so we're going to be looking at this row now. Okay. Okay, now to do this problem, hold on, I got to read this again. At the closing price per share of the General Corp, how many shares of the stock can you purchase for $2,500? Okay, the way you do this problem, the money you have to spend, we're going to divide that. So we have $2,500 to spend, and we're going to find out how much these stocks were the day before. So we have to look at the closing value. So look at column 9. All right, so yesterday they closed at $11.77 per share. Okay, well, if we've got $2,500 to spend and the shares are $11.77, we can buy 212. We can't buy part of a stock, or part of a share. So don't say 212.4. That makes no sense. Just keep the 212, okay? All righty. Let's try yet a different problem. Let's look at problem number 14, same page. Gary Walters owned 400 shares of stock in GE. Okay, let's just stop. Let's find GE on the table. GE. Okay, it's kind of in the middle. I found it right here, GE. Okay. All right. I'm going to keep my finger on it. All right. This gentleman owned 400 shares of stock in GE. He purchased the shares at a price of $27.80 per share and sold them at the closing price of the stock given in the table below. Ignoring dividends, what was Gary's profit or loss on the sale of the stock? Okay. I'm going to break this problem down for you. All right, what do we know? Well, we know this guy, he owned 400 shares, and he paid $27.80 for them, for each one. So let's multiply those. So after he bought those 400 shares, he just spent $11,120. Okay? All right, now we have to look at column 9 because that'll tell us how much they're worth now. So let's look at column 9. All right, see where it says close? All right, so when the stock exchange closed, these these 400 shares were worth $32.87. Okay, so let's see here. If we multiply 400 times $32.87, I'm getting $13,148. Well, pretty good deal, right? He's making some money. All right, well, let's figure out how much profit did he make. Well, he had $13,148 in his pocket. He had shelled out $11,120. So let's see here. He's making some money. $2,028. Nice. Okay, so that's his profit. Okay. All right, now we're not done with this problem though. Let's look at part B now. It says if his broker charges 2.5% of the total sale price, what was the broker's commission? Okay. Well, now our sales price, here's what he sold it at, right? Okay, so we have to take that money, and the broker gets a percentage. Now please move your decimal 2 places to the left so it's calculator ready. And so the broker, he does pretty well too. He made $328.70 on it. It's kind of interesting, isn't it, that they charge you the commission on this instead of this? Seems kind of sneaky, but that's how they do it. Okay, one more problem here in the section. Let's look at problem number 18. A bond with a face value of $6,000 and a 4.2% coupon has a 5-year maturity. Now, I'm already hoping that you've read your text, okay? You need to know what a coupon is. So if you didn't read your text, stop the video. Please read your book. Find the annual interest paid to the bond holder. All right, we're going to use our good old I equals PRT. Now our principle in a problem like this is how much the face value of your bond is. Okay, so we've got a bond here that is $15,000. Okay, I think I just read problem number 17. Sorry about that. We're doing 18. It's the same problem, different values. Okay. Now our rate is 3.75%. Please move your decimal 2 points to the left. Now, it doesn't say anything about time. Now be careful. Sometimes people want to put the time was 10, and that's not true. Do you see a buzzword when you read the problem? Is there a buzzword there? Because I see one. Annual. What does annual mean? Remember what annual means? Annual means 1. So let's just write that down to remind ourselves how to do that problem. All right. Okay, so interest equals P times R times T. And you are going to get $562.50. Okay? All right. Now we're going to talk about some mutual funds. Again, please add anything to your notes that you think is important. All right. There is a formula that you need to know. Okay. It is going to be very useful on page 701. We're going to do problem number 22. Okay. And again, I'm assuming you've read your text already. So let's jump into problem number 22. Okay. Or actually, before we do that, highlight this, could you please? All right. The definition here for this is on page 696 and 697. So you want to highlight this. Okay. Instead of writing assets, let's just use an A. Instead of using liabilities, let's just use an L. Outstanding shares, your book calls N. Okay. And the unit is going to be money on this. All right. All right, now let's look at 22. It says a mutual fund has total assets of 25 million and total liabilities of 250,000. There are 1,500,000 shares outstanding. Find the net asset value, it's right here, net asset value of the mutual fund. So we're going to be using this formula, okay? Okay, so we're going to take our assets, right? And we are going to subtract our liabilities. Oopsie. And then we are going to divide by our outstanding shares. Now, when you put this in your calculator, do this minus this and hit equals. Then go divided by this. And you should get $16.50. Okay? Now I know your calculator says 16.5, but remember we're talking about money, so make your answer look like money. Okay, thank you. One more and then we're done, folks. This has been a long night. I know you're working hard. You're almost done with this class. Let's look at problem number 24. Okay. A mutual fund has total assets of 12 million and total liabilities of 2 million. There are 1 million shares outstanding. You invest I'm tired. You invest $2,500 in this fund. How many shares will you purchase? Okay, this is a two-step problem. First thing you want to do is you want to find the net asset value. So let's use our formula for that. So we're going to plug and chug. And when we do that, our label is money. So let's get this written down first. Let's put it in our calculator. Okay, now you're going to go 12 million minus 2 million. Okay, and then divide by 1 million. And you should get 10, and that's $10. Okay, then after you do that, what you want to do is you want to take your investment and you want to divide it by your net asset value. Okay, now going back, if you look at this, let's see here, we're in problem 24. It says you invest 2,500, so 2,500 is in our numerator, dividing by $10. Now our label is going to be shares. So we've got 2,500 divided by 10, and we have 250 shares. Okay, so there you go. Well, thanks for watching this video. I know I've been a little tongue-tied tonight. Not only did I talk 8 hours at my day job, I've just had 3.5 hours of parent-teacher conferences. So my day was long. It was 11.5 hours. And then I made this video. So I'm sorry if I sound tired and groggy, but I am. All right. For this week, here's the homework. Please remember, I don't accept late work. Please make sure you're showing me how you got your answer. Don't do any math magic, which to me means nothing's on your paper and then poof, the right answer magically appears. So please don't do that, okay? Show me something. Thank you. All right, have a great night. Bye-bye.